So I received a comment on one of my videos, and this is what it read. F you, rich man. Not everyone can afford a $1,000 rifle. Well, this comment kind of like compelled me to make this video. So it's Dan here with Battlefield Curator, and I want to talk about how you can afford a $1,000 rifle, even if you have no money or you're living paycheck to paycheck. All right, so bills and taxes, part of life. So how do we get around that? What is your position? So this is pretty much reliant upon what your position is, what your job is. How many hours are you working out of the week, right? At 17, I joined the Army, and I got into a career field within the Army. I got into the 33 Whiskey MOS, and I pretty much realized that this job will equate to information technology when I get out. Well, I stayed in the Army for 10 years, but even while I was in the Army, I saw a lot of my peers just spending their money on stupid stuff. There was a guy, he was a roommate. All he would do every time he got a paycheck was go to the Walmart and buy a bunch of movies, just a bunch of DVDs. Early on, I realized that, that's not the way to do things, and I need to save my money up for any kind of emergency that might happen, or if I wanted to take a trip or something. Maybe I wanted to, put a lot of it into an investment. And so, I said, I'm just going to save it up, So I did a lot of saving while I was in the military. So another thing here is your expenses. How do you lower your expenses? Do you have debt? So how do you get rid of debt? Do you have student loans? Do you have cars? Do you have anything that, like you have a mortgage, or are you just paying an outrageous amount of rent? Can you lower those expenses? Can you find a cheaper place to live? Can you get rid of the Netflix? Do you need Netflix? You don't really need it. It's just it's a luxury item at the end of the day. And your car. When it comes down to three things that us Americans are in debt for, you've got your mortgage is probably the biggest expense you'll have, then a car, and maybe student loans. So maybe the student loans over the car, it just depends. So how do you get rid of your car debt? Do you need that fancy newish car to get to work? No, you don't. You can get a used car like 10 years old. A few $1,000s and you have a car, and then there's plenty of cars that were made in the 90s and 2000s that are reliable and good cars. You just got to go find them. Now, they probably going to need a little bit more maintenance here and there, but in the long run, you're not paying interest on that. You're not wasting a whole bunch of money from your paycheck on it. You're keeping your expenses down at the end of the month so you can save a little bit more. And I've seen people come right up from deployment. When you deploy in the Army, you get a lot of money tax-free. You get a lot of money for being in the combat zone. And what happens is a lot of these people, they just come back and they buy the newest, fanciest car they can afford. And you're talking like Camaros, a new Dodge Ram. There's so many things that these people will waste their money on. They'll buy an old Caprice and then lift it up and put these rims on them and get a new paint job with sparkles in it and try to be all flashy and cool. And that's honestly, it's just a waste of money. What's it worth at the end of the day? Cars are a depreciating item, and they depreciate pretty fast. So definitely, downsize your car. And I did that for years. I never financed a car for over a decade. And essentially, it came to a point where I said, hey, I've got enough cash and I've got enough residual income to finance a car. And I paid it off in less than 3 years. And let's look at something else here. What else are you doing on the side? Do you work 9 to 5, 40 hours a week? What are you doing with the other hours that you have available in your time? Are you using that wisely to get a little extra income? Or are you just watching Netflix on the couch for those hours? So yeah, there's definitely some benefits to just relaxing and chill. But if you're relaxing and chill all your hours after work, you could use those hours for something else. There's a book I read when I got out of the Army. It's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. It's definitely a good read if you want to learn more about how to get into businesses or get into being financially savvy. It's probably the #1 rated book for financial education. So definitely pick up that book and read it. It's very cheap. You can even find the audiobook version on YouTube, I believe, for free. So you don't even need to go buy it. You just need to listen to it on the car ride to work or whatever. So there's definitely a lot of opportunities for a side gig, a side job. So you could look into real estate related things like photography, like appraisals. You just got to go out there and find those opportunities. Opportunities will not always present themselves to you. You have to go find them. And that would be the best thing to do. Go to like a real estate office, maybe go to an appraiser's office, maybe call them up, send them an email like, hey, I'm looking to get into doing appraising. I'd like to learn the ropes. Could you help me? Could you teach me? One of these appraisers is like, yeah, I need help. I could take you on. Or one of these photographers is like, I need help. So yeah, I'll teach you photography. Another side gig you can do is work at a gun shop, and then you'll get hands-on, you'll get knowledge, and you can work there on the weekends, maybe a Saturday, maybe you can work there after hours. So you know, maybe you can pick up another like part-time job somewhere. Maybe work at a bank instead, and so that way you can learn a lot more about financial education while you're in a job field that revolves around finances, right? So don't limit yourself to your skill sets. Kind of think outside the box. Now, another thing I did, and I don't really recommend this for everyone unless you do a lot of research, is investing in the stock market in individual stocks. So yeah, I got a pretty decent job only because I joined the Army and got into a career field that way, and so I have a 401k. But on the outside, any extra money that I had from my side jobs and from work, I would just put into individual stocks. So when it comes down to it, I did research. I did a lot of research, spent a lot of hours, and it's been paying off pretty well. I use a brokerage called Robinhood. I'll put a link in the description if you want to sign up for it, because it's very easy to learn on Robinhood. Robinhood's got a lot of hate, but honestly, when I started out, I didn't really know a lot about stocks or anything. There was a class in JRTC that did go over stocks, and they did have like a portfolio, like a paper trading account, but you know, honestly, I didn't really understand it still. So I mean, I was a kid, like I wasn't really like, I was like, okay, whatever, I'll just do this class to get a grade, right? But as far as like later on, I started thinking back to that, and I said, hey, that was really good information. I should probably go research that again. And I knew a lot of people that were starting to get into it. You know, I had a friend that invested in Tesla very early on, and he was a soldier that worked with me. And so, you know, I was like, how do you do that? You know, I don't know how to do that. I found the brokerage Robinhood, and I signed up for free, and I just put money into that, and then started buying shares of companies that I did research on. And then again, I learned a lot about stocks and investing in stocks through a book called The Warren Buffett Way. And that book kind of showed me, it tells you how Warren Buffett invests in stocks and how he chooses them wisely. So that's the strategy I've been using. One thing here to do is to do research. When you're gathering up knowledge about finances, how to get better at what you do, how to get a side gig, and especially like how to invest, you want to do research. There's so much information out there. You just got to be careful, and you got to sift through it and find the research that's actually legitimate. You go look at what the big dogs are doing out there. You look at what some people are doing out there that actually makes sense. Don't fall into the traps of the get-rich-quick schemes. You read the book of Proverbs in the Bible, and that's what I did very early on when I was a young kid, and that kind of helped me make better decisions with money. And that's going back. That's ancient knowledge that's still available to you for free. You can go to a church and read the Bible. So the book of Proverbs definitely helped me out when I was a kid, understanding like saving, And later on, I look back at the book of Proverbs and I realize how great it is, how much of financial education it is for just about every person. One thing that you shouldn't do here is tell yourself that you can't do something, because that's a psychological impairment. What you should do instead is you should tell yourself, you should ask yourself, how can I do this? How can I afford this $1,000 rifle, right? And then now you'll be a little bit more creative in thinking of how you can do that instead of just mentally blocking that out by saying I can't. Eventually you'll save enough money over months and you'll have something saved up, right? And you can do the same thing with trying to progress your knowledge base, get into a side job, and you just, you start saving a little bit. Let's say you want to get into photography, you need a camera, so you save until you can get a camera, and now you can use that camera as an asset. And then you start your little sole proprietorship as a photographer, and at that point you can use a lot of those expenses as tax write-offs and have your little business. And that's the one thing about business, is that your expenses, now you got to talk to a tax expert, because I'm not a tax expert, so this is just what I know, and what I know is not legal advice. But you talk to a tax guy and he'll say, yeah, you can write that camera off, you can write your cell phone bill off, you can write this off, you can write that off, and before you know it, you're like, man, I'm just writing off all these expenses that I would pay for, mileage expenses, and you're writing all that stuff off, and you're actually getting money back at the end of the day from your tax return, as opposed to just having a W-2 job where you can't write that stuff off. You can't write off your mileage. You can't write off the stuff that you use, like a multi-tool or something, right? So you can write a whole bunch of stuff off doing a business. And the other thing here is real estate related side gigs. They really pan out for people. And real estate's a necessity in life, because a lot of people need a place to live. Most people need a place to live. Some people might live in a yurt or a cabin or something out in the woods, but maybe a tent. But for the most part, most people need a house. And if you get into real estate, somehow doing something, whether it be real estate investing, if you can put 3.5% down on a FHA loan and buy your first house, and maybe it's a duplex or something, and you can rent out the other side, somebody else can help pay your mortgage, and then you're saving money at the end of the day by making money. And then of course real estate has its own tax benefits as well, so there's so many things you can do right there. And like I said, you just got to find that knowledge, you got to find that information out there. There's so much things that you can be doing on your off time that will help you progress your life better, so that you can afford things that you can enjoy. But just don't use your paycheck from your W-2 job to buy the things that are fun. Just save that money up. Over time, it will continue to exponentially grow, and then you can start looking at fun things. Well guys, this is Dan with Battlefield Curator. I hope you guys learned something, some of my strategies, some of the things that I've been doing for years that I want to pass on to you guys to help you guys out and your guys' journey through life. Take it easy, and be sure to learn history and curate history. Make it a great day.